How long we've been involved in Iran?
Just shy of 60 days.
60 days, 2 months. And what is the degradation of their Navy right now, Secretary?
Their conventional Navy is destroyed. They had 3 drone aircraft carriers. They have none. They had 11 submarines. They had none.
What you just heard is a United States Congressman walking a former Secretary of Defense through a military checklist, Navy, Air Force, Command, and Control, and getting one-word answers that describe the near-total destruction of a nation-state's armed forces. The man asking the questions is Representative Pat Fallon of Texas. The man answering is Chuck Hagel, former Secretary of Defense, and sitting beside him is retired General Jack Keane, former Vice Chief of Staff of the United States Army. This hearing took place in the aftermath of what the transcript calls the 12-Day War and Operation Midnight Hammer, a U.S. military campaign against Iran. Here's what I want you to pay attention to. At no point in this exchange does anyone pause.
What do you know of any nation state that ever enriched uranium to 60% that then didn't make a nuclear weapon?
Well, first of all, I want to second your comments about the chairman, and I agree. I appreciate how he does his job. Usually when a country pursues at that level, it's pursuing a nuclear weapon.
100% of the countries that have reached 60% enrichment have then produced a nuclear weapon.
That answer, 100%, is not rhetorical. That is a former Secretary of Defense, under oath, stating a historical absolute. Hold that number, because the entire justification for what follows rests on it.
And is it true that Iran was in the process of building such a swarm of UAVs and ballistic missile shield conventionally, once they wanted to bake the cake because they had all the ingredients to make the nuclear weapon, it would have been damn near impossible for us or anyone else to prevent them?
As I pointed to, the president was wise enough to understand that at its weakest moment, following the 12-day war and Midnight Hammer, now is the time to degrade their conventional capabilities.
Notice the framing. Iran already had all the ingredients. The military action didn't stop a nuclear weapon. It stopped the protective shield around a weapon that hadn't been built yet. That is a preemptive strike, justified by a projected future capability. That distinction matters enormously. And it passes without challenge.
Now is the time to degrade their conventional capabilities, the umbrella they were building of missiles, long-range, short-range, cruise missiles, one-way attack drones, that they were going to use to blackmail the countries around them to not do anything about their nuclear program when they broke out from 60%. We know that to be knew that to be their intention, and something had to be done about it, and President Trump had the courage to do it.
Well, President Trump, there's been a lot of quotes that people have been mentioning his words, and I wanted to mention some that I thought were interesting. Here's a quote: "I will take no options off the table to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon," Barack Obama. "Iran will never get a nuclear weapon," Joe Biden. "I will never hesitate to take whatever action necessary, and I will never allow Iran to acquire nuclear weapons. All options are on the table," Kamala Harris. And this one: "We would totally obliterate Iran. That's a terrible thing to say, but those people who run Iran need to understand that." Hillary Clinton, 2008.
Fallon is making a bipartisan accountability argument. And on the surface, it works. But read it again carefully. He's using Democratic quotes to legitimize a Republican action. The implicit argument is, they all said it, only one did it. What he does not address is whether the legal authority, international framework, or congressional authorization existed to do it. That question never enters the room.
How long was World War II? You have any idea? In days? I have it right here, in days exactly.
I got it multiplied by 365, but...
Yeah, it's 1,347 days. Korea was 1,129, and our involvement in World War I, which was rather quick, was 585. How long we've been involved in Iran?
Just shy of 60 days.
This is the rhetorical peak of the exchange. Fallon is drawing a direct historical comparison, 60 days versus nearly 4 years of World War II, and framing it as efficiency. What the comparison quietly erases is that World War II ended with unconditional surrender and a rebuilding plan. Nobody in this hearing addresses what happens on day 61.
This is the degradation of their Navy right now, Secretary?
Their conventional Navy is destroyed. They had 3 drone aircraft carriers. They have none. They had 11 submarines. They had none. They had Different frigate classes, they have none. They may have small speedboats at this point, Coast Guard type vessels, but their conventional Navy is gone.
Air Force?
Likewise, functionally destroyed.
Command and control?
It's hard for them. There's a reason why there's a challenge in communicating around a deal is because their command and control is fundamentally broken.
3 questions, 3 one-word answers. Destroyed, destroyed, broken. This is the most information-dense 30 seconds of the entire hearing, and it is delivered like a grocery list. The absence of gravity here is its own kind of statement.
This is an evil regime. We can fundamentally reshape not only the region, but the world. They were the largest exporter of terror and ballistic missile technologies. We need, gentlemen, to win.
We need to win. That is the closing argument of a sitting U.S. Congressman, directed at a former Secretary of Defense and a retired 4-star general, about a 60-day military campaign against a country of 93 million people. And with that, he yields back. There is one moment in that exchange that deserves to sit with you. When Representative Fallon asks about the degradation of Iran's military, Navy, Air Force, command, and control, and receives clean, confident, one-line answers, no one in that room asks the next logical question. What fills the vacuum? Iran's Navy is gone. Its Air Force is functionally destroyed. Its command structure is broken. History, from Iraq to Libya, gives us a very specific answer to what happens when you remove a state's military capacity without a reconstruction framework. That answer is not stability. That answer is not a win. And yet, the word win is where this exchange ends. The evasion in this hearing is not in what anyone denies. It is in what no one thinks to ask. Fallon controls the exchange entirely, not through pressure, but through pace. He moves from question to question so rapidly that the space in which scrutiny could exist simply never opens. Hagel and Keene are not being evasive. They are being responsive. The problem is that the questions are preloaded with their own conclusions. The bipartisan quote sequence is the most strategically intelligent moment in the segment. By demonstrating that Democrats said the same things, Fallon neutralizes the most likely line of opposition before it can form. But the quotes he selects are all about intent, preventing a nuclear weapon. None of them authorize a conventional military campaign targeting a nation's entire defense infrastructure. The leap between those two things is the size of a war, and it goes unexamined. What this hearing captured, in 57 seconds of Q&A, is the normalization of something that in any prior decade would have commanded weeks of congressional debate. A 60-day military campaign, a destroyed Navy, a broken command structure, a country of 93 million people, and the closing line is, we need to win. The most unsettling thing about this exchange is not what was said. It is how calm everyone was when they said it. We are 60 days into a military campaign against a country of 93 million people. Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Their command structure is broken. And the central question, what comes next, was never asked. If that question concerns you as much as it concerns me, subscribe to the Hearing Files, like the video, and tell me in the comments, did anyone in that room actually ask what winning looks like? We need, gentlemen, to win.